Welcome to BaseballGuys.com. I'm your host, Ray Flowers. It's bright outside. It's a Monday. Yeah, I know some of you are probably upset because you're back at work, but I love my job, so I'm not too upset to have to go through things for you guys all here at BaseballGuys.com on a Monday afternoon. If you're a Braves fan or if you're a Jair Jurrjens owner, you probably don't have a smile on your face right now. Report is that Jurrjens, during his rehab work, was running in the outfield today, and he felt a pop in his hamstring. Not a good thing at all. The good news is that it's not in the same spot as the injury was previously. The bad news is that pop often indicates a pull, a strain, a tear, something you obviously don't want to see with that hamstring. You have to think, obviously, he's not going to make his start this week. In a best-case scenario, Chris Medlin will probably fill in again as he did the first time. We'll have to wait and see what the results of an MRI are. It's total speculation at this point, but when I hear a pop, I think 4 to 6 weeks. If that's the case, Chris Medlin's value just went from NL only to potentially very deep mixed leagues. The guy's a strikeout pitcher, more than a strikeout inning in his short career, so keep an eye on the reports with Jurrjens, and don't be afraid to jump on Medlin if Jurrjens is going to miss a substantial amount of time. Jason Hayward, on the other side, has good news for Braves fans. Looks like he's going to return from his sore groin on Tuesday, be sort of right back into the lineup, and the Braves need him on their offense desperately. He's got 8 home runs and 26 RBIs on the season. No other Brave has more than 2 home runs or 18 RBIs. So they desperately need his power bat in the middle of the lineup. Lots of struggles there on the offensive side of the game. Look for Jason Hayward to reinvigorate that lineup starting Tuesday for the Atlanta Braves. Huston Street's coming off the disabled list. Well, he's coming off the disabled list in about 2 weeks. He had a bullpen session today on Monday. Looked very good. They've got a plan mapped out for him to go down to the minor leagues, get some work. Looks like it'll again be about 2 weeks before he's brought back to the big league club, provided there's no setbacks, obviously, in his recovery. Look for Manny Corpus to be the closer in that interim period. It's uncertain at this point when Street will reclaim his closer role. Let's say he comes back in 2 weeks. Will it be instantly like they're doing with Kerry Wood in Cleveland? Will it take him a little bit more time to work into it? I would suspect he'd probably need 3 or 4 appearances before they feel comfortable in naming him the closer. So look for Street by absolutely mid-June at the latest to once again be the closer in the Rockies, and it could happen as soon as 2 weeks from today. Tulowitzki, another Rocky, looks like things are coming in twos today, has an issue with his quadricep. Now, this is not the same issue as far as the severity of it as was the injury that cost him a couple of years ago. He says it's much more minor. An MRI revealed no big issues with the quad. He's not going to be placed on the disabled list. However, he's not going to be in the lineup on Monday, and he probably won't play Tuesday either. So those of you in weekly leagues, you might be in a little bit of trouble this week, but the good news is that Tulowitzki doesn't appear like he's going to be going anywhere other than back into the Rockies lineup at some point in the middle of the week. Continue to monitor the reports, but it's a positive news to what could have been a very negative thing for the Rockies. Oliver Perez remains a starter in May10. Now, the Mets obviously have some problems in their starting rotation. That issue is magnified by the fact that Oliver Perez continues to remain in the rotation. He's got 26 walks in 30 innings of action. If you think a guy like that deserves to be in your starting rotation, well, I've got a bad news Bears club to show you. Perez has got talent, he's got skill, we've seen him dominate in the past. He just can't throw strikes. He needs to really clean things up because sooner or later the Mets will tire of him and remove him from that rotation spot if he doesn't at least start throwing strikes. Josh Beckett is another pitcher who's had a lot of struggles this year, though his haven't necessarily been because of the walk. He's been getting beat all around the yard. He's going to have his next start pushed back a day, nothing major. Tim Wakefield will go into the rotation. Not a bad thing since he's been kind of languishing in the pen. Beckett looks like he's going to start Friday. Hopefully a side session will help cure whatever ails Beckett. I still think he's a great buy low candidate. So if someone out there is soured on Beckett and his continued struggles, don't be afraid to pounce because you can probably get him at a really good value. And then finally, Dallas Braden. 19th perfect game in the history of baseball, 2nd fewest wins going into that perfect game in the history of baseball. Had a great outing. Only 5 swings and misses, though, in that entire game during that perfect effort. And that actually draws an interesting parallel. He's actually very similar to Mark Buehrle, the last man to throw a perfect game as well. What does that mean? Well, Buehrle's been an effective major league pitcher for years. He's been an all-star, etc. He's always been on the fringe of effectiveness in standard mixed leagues, however. Not a lot of strikeouts. The ratios are apt to go up and down depending upon, whether the hits fall or not. Look for Braden to be a successful pitcher to lean on in mixed leagues this year, but don't go overboard because of this perfect game. He's never going to be a top shelf option. He just doesn't have the stuff for it. Again, I'm Ray Flowers, BaseballGuys.com. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you all have a great week.